Our southern weather is unpredictable.
We know you've seen a thing or two.
Like heavy rainstorms,
extreme heat, and flying debris.
Your New South windows are custom built for your home and designed for extreme conditions.
That's why you need New South by your side.
Enjoy comfort,
Safety, and security.
We install peace of mind with our lifetime guarantee. Superior windows, factory direct.
New South proud.
Buy more, save more. Volume discounts on 4 or more windows.
Weather, always. How you doing, everybody? I'm Chief Meteorologist Denis. Phillips. Heat's still the hot topic of weather conversation, right? Just smashed the previous record for rainfall in Tampa. Still a very nice day. We've got some clouds out there, even a couple of sprinkles as another front rolls through the area. Most of us wake up to sunshine and then very warm temperatures in the afternoon. Our temperatures, they're going up and they're staying up. Really nice forecast, especially if you're planning on going to the beach or the pool. Rain chances very slim. Another beautiful day in store. It's going to bring us a very high chance of storms. Isolated showers across the area. Mother Nature likes to remind us that it isn't set by a calendar. We're always on it for you, just in case things begin to pop.
Streaming from the ABC Action Weather Center in Studio A, this is Denis Phillips Live.
Sponsored by New South Window Solutions. Made in Florida for Florida homes by Florida workers.
Well, how you doing, everybody? It is a Monday night edition of Denis Phillips Live, and I'm back in my hoodie. You know, there was a meme going around last hurricane season, and it said something like, when this guy is wearing a hoodie and has a Diet Dr. Pepper like this and is looking like this, you know we're in for trouble. I don't feel that way yet, but my voice is probably not going to last through the storm unless I learn to pace myself. I've never been good at pacing myself. You know, it's like I would never be a good long-distance runner because I would just want to run to the front at first and then I'd have nothing left for the end. So I'm trying to pace myself. And as I do, we have got a lot of folks here. We have got a lot of weather, over 7,000 folks here. We got a lot of weather to talk about. And before I get going on the show, I do have some shout outs I'd like to give. One to Jackson. Jackson is apparently a really huge weather fan. So we've got a lot of folks tuning in now that normally don't tune in to our weather chats because we obviously have a hurricane coming in. So Jackson, thanks for stopping by. Tell your mom Lorelli the same thing. Thanks for stopping by. We are here for you guys. Normally we go through our shout outs, but when you have several thousand folks out there, what are you going to do, right? We're going to jump on into it. I am going to go a half hour right now. I'm going to stop at 8 o'clock when our streaming app stops. And then I'm going to have another shorter one a little bit later tonight when some new data comes in. So here's what I want to do. All right. Thanks for stopping by. We got a lot to talk about, obviously. And I'm just going to go ahead and take these graphics full screen. And we're going to kind of go through them together. OK, because I have little doubt in my mind that at some point today, whether it was from when the minute you got up and started scrolling and you're like, oh, my God, no. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, boy. Oh, no. For a brief period of time, I was there when I was looking at the models early this morning, and I'm like, no. Rule number 7, all's good. And I still think all is good. But there are things we need to discuss. So let's get on into it, all right? So there are a look at all the advisories everywhere. You've got a hurricane warning in effect. That's the red area. That means hurricane conditions are expected in the next 24 to 36 hours, all right? Sarasota is under a tropical storm warning. So based on the current track, Sarasota County is not expected to see hurricane conditions. And you can make the argument that a lot of the area is not expected to have hurricane conditions, again, based on the current track. Now, recon is flying through this storm at all times and will be. And that is something that I think is really significant. I want to mention that a little bit. Biggest concern for a lot of folks is, what if this does a hook like Charlie, like Irma, like Ian? And there's a reason that something like that is still possible. Even though the models are now 36 hours out and you'd like to think that they've got a pretty firm grasp on what's going on. But here's the reason this forecast is not 100% set in stone. Look where the storm is right now. All right, I'll show you where the storm is right now. It is right there. All right, there's your storm. And by the way, it's being sheared a little bit. It does not have a particularly healthy look right now. There is some shear going on, some disruption in the mid-levels, and that's keeping it from developing. Matter of fact, I think a lot of folks, when you woke up this morning, thought, oh my God, it's going to be a hurricane in a few hours, the way it blew up. But it's running into some issues. Here's the challenge in terms of where this is going to go. The models have a real firm grasp on what they're seeing. But imagine you are down there where that storm is, all right? And you're holding a steering wheel, and you're right in that big old red blob, okay? That's where you are. And right now it is moving north at 8 miles an hour. The new update comes out in about 20 minutes. We'll see if that changes. If you take that steering wheel and you turn it just a little bit one way or the other, and probably to the right, you would be turning the steering wheel, because in Florida, if there's an error, it's usually up to the right. If you turn that steering wheel just a smidge, it's not going to move very much 10 miles up the road from where you are. But by the time you make it to Central Florida, that little smidge is going to be a little bit more of a significant turn. So any kind of a subtle change where it is right now could have an impact on where it eventually goes. It isn't a hook like happened with Charlie. It's more of we see it's turning now, so the entire track would have to shift to the east a little bit. That hasn't happened, but it is a possibility until it gets caught up in its upper level trough that's going to lift it to the north. And once it's there, this forecast is golden. It's not going to deviate. You're not going to get a hook. But you could get an entire track shift if the entire entity made a little bit of a turn to the right. Now, I say that, I want to show you the latest model runs. These are the 18Z model runs, the latest model runs, and they are still locked in to a path in the Big Bend area. Not to mention, there is more recon going on right now with this hurricane, tropical storm, than I've ever seen. Hurricane hunters are constantly flying around right now looking at it. And it takes it to this track right here in the Big Bend. If this were to remotely verify, this storm would be well to our west. And if you look at the time frames, there's some 18Zs, some 12Zs. The new numbers are coming out. Here's the latest halves. Now, this is from Tropical Tidbits. As I've told you many times, in my opinion, this guy, Dr. Levi Cohen, is probably one of the smartest meteorologists, especially tropical meteorologists, I've ever known. I don't know him personally. I read his stuff. I listen to his videos. The guy is just brilliant and has an amazing website, too. It's tropicaltidbits.com. I would give him a follow because he's got great descriptions, great synopsis, and he's got just great maps. This is the HAFS map. There's a HAFS A and a HAFS B. It stands for Hurricane Analytics Forecast. This is the new state-of-the-art model from NOAA. And last year, this model was 15% more accurate, so it says their press release, than anything else they had out there. Look at where this track takes this storm. We can go back, but this is way up in the Big Bend toward the central panhandle. But I'm going to show you another model that takes it closer to us. So again, I would err on the side of this model, and I would also err on the side of the European model, which has been all over this storm from the beginning. 10 days ago, the Euro was the only game in town, and you guys know me. I can't quit the Euro. I can't. Some people can't quit their guy. Some people can't quit their gal. I can't quit the Euro. It is just my model. It has been for decades because historically it's a winner and the most accurate model on the face of the earth. It's called King Euro for a reason. And 10 days ago, it had this moisture going into the Big Bend, and it has not backed off at all. While the other models were going west, the Euro is still locked into the Big Bend. So that's where the little gray areas are coming from. The fact that the models are seeing still somewhat of a disruptive area down, and you don't get a buzzsaw look there. It looks like a blob. It looks like an amoeba. So until it's no longer being sheared and it has a chance to redevelop and strengthen, there is still that little turn that could happen, and that's something that we have to keep our eyes on, which is why I'm telling you we're not completely out of the woods. But are we in a better place now than I think some folks thought we might be? I would say so. And by the way, the sweatshirt that I'm wearing, and you guys who watch me on this, you know I have a tendency to go squirrel. I go in lots of different directions. This is our Rule Number 7 logo. It's on our Etsy shop. The proceeds go to the Children's Miracle Network. Our family is very, very passionate. At Christmas, we have a massive light display where we have fundraisers that go toward the Children's Miracle Network. And again, if you're interested, you can go on my Facebook page. At the very, very top, you'll see a link, or actually a post I just did earlier today with links to all the Rule Number 7 stuff, all the shirts, everything, again, with proceeds going to the Children's Miracle Network. Our Etsy page actually looks like this. And our family, our living room, our dining room rather, turns into pretty much a warehouse as I ship and box and help make all of the stuff. So it's all right here on our Etsy page. Proceeds, again, go toward Children's Miracle Network. And a lot of people ask me what Rule Number 7 was, and that's why I'm showing it, because there's a lot of new folks here. So let's go back. All right, so this is the updated track. Again, the new track comes out at 11 o'clock tonight. The tracks are updated every 6 hours. The intermediate advisories will give you a new stat, a new fix on where this is. And by the way, while recon is flying through at all times, if at any point they find hurricane force winds for 60 seconds, they will immediately bump this up to Hurricane Idalia. It could be at any time. But this is the track as of 5 o'clock. A new update comes at 11. I doubt we see much of a change at 11. We could see a little shift back toward the east, and I'll show you why in a second. Some of the models, including the Euro, did go back a little bit east, nothing dramatic, but it is still something worth keeping our eye on. There is the track. Now, that'll get your attention. Cat 3 hurricane west of Tampa. And unfortunately, I'm telling you flat out, this is going to be a night storm for the Bay Area. Hate it. If it's scary enough to get a storm come through, it's scarier when it's happening at night and you're going to see some power outages. And you will. There will be power outages. So the leading edge of the tropical storm force winds arrive around 8 o'clock tomorrow night, and the worst of this will be over by 8 o'clock the next morning. It's going to be a pretty quick entry and exit from the area. So this is the map I want to show you. This, to me, is a really important map. This map shows you the yellow is winds of 40 to 58. The orange is winds of 58 to 73. And the red area is the hurricane force, which right now we don't have a hurricane, so there's no hurricane force. Okay? Look at the track. This takes us to 11 o'clock tomorrow night. Now, what do we see? And again, this graphic is nothing more than the Hurricane Center's official numbers graphically presented. The yellow area is winds 40 to 58. That will have moved into the western half of the Bay Area. The orange area with the heavier winds is still offshore. And the hurricane winds are way to the west. If this track were to verify, and this is the official Hurricane Center forecast, this is not a model, we would not see sustained hurricane force winds in the Bay Area. We would get gusts, but we would not have sustained winds, much like we didn't with Irma. You remember Irma 6 years ago? Idalia, that's the name that replaced Irma. Go figure, we're having it again. So Irma, we had 65 to 70 sustained winds, but it went across the state and hit Polk County. This one, based on the current thinking, will not. East of I-75, you are not going to have any problems. unless there's a massive shift in this forecast. And I would like to think 36 hours out, we're not going to have a massive shift. Stranger things have happened. We all know that. But I'd like to think that's not the case. So here's where this forecast is totally different than Irma and Charlie and Ian. Polk County, Hardy, DeSoto, Highlands. You're not going to get much. You'll get some wind. You'll get some rain. You won't get surge. That's it. You'll sleep soundly east of I-75 because you will not have the bulk of this weather. I mean, look at the track. Look at the red area. Those are your hurricane force winds. A good 70 or 80 miles offshore of Pinellas County coastline. If the forecast verifies. We'll have another track at 11. We'll have another track at 5 a.m. I would not expect any drastic changes. I would not be surprised if they come back a little bit to the east, and I'll show you why in a minute, but certainly nothing drastic. So all the Lakeland questions and all the Bartow questions, and I'm not even looking at your questions now because I can't answer them individually right now because my voice won't last. I wanted to give a really solid overview, and then on my next hit, 9:30-ish, I will answer your questions on individual areas. But I shouldn't have to, because you're seeing right here what we're looking at. Hurricane winds are nowhere near the Bay Area sustained if this track verifies. And from there, we get closer to landfall. Let's take it full for you. There it is. With landfall somewhere in Dixie or Taylor County around 8 to 9 a.m. on Wednesday morning. That's based on the current track. If the Hurricane Center changes the track, this graphic would change. But that's where we are right now. Okay. And then it moves around Jacksonville near Savannah, and then it's out of the picture. Here's the time of arrival for the tropical storm force winds. We expect tropical storm force winds to arrive around 8 o'clock at night, tomorrow night. So those winds are going to blow between about 8 o'clock at night and 8 o'clock in the morning. So again, I hate to say this. I hate to do it to you because I know it's going to freak some people out. I get it. I mean, I do. Power outages are the worst. Power outages at night when you have 60 or 70 mile an hour winds are even scarier. The stronger winds will be Pinellas County northward along the coast. Hernando and Citrus would be a little stronger. Now, I'll tell you, again, it's all based on the track. There were some numbers out that I thought were really high of coastal Pinellas County. I saw some numbers potentially of 115. I don't have any idea where that's coming from, especially based on the NHC's track that hurricane force winds aren't anywhere near the coast of Pinellas. There is less friction with the air traveling over the water, so the winds could definitely be stronger going into Pinellas and Pasco. But I would expect it to be more like 70 to 80, depending on if the storm goes through rapid intensification, which right now it certainly isn't, and if it were to get closer, that little jog, or that little change in track, if it were to happen over the next 6 hours. But that's when those winds are going to arrive. So have your flashlights ready. By the way, scroll down on my page as well. A few posts ago, I posted what I think is the best hurricane prep kit out there. I didn't put it together. I just found it. It's got great information, really, really good information, especially with power outages. So look at my Facebook page, scroll down, and you'll see a list of about 35 things. My favorite one is whether or not you lose power or not. If you leave and you don't know when you come back if you've lost power because the power is returned, you put a frozen cup of water in your freezer with a penny on the top of it. If that power goes out and the ice melts, the penny and then refreezes, the penny will go to the bottom. You'll know that you lost power and your food's probably bad. If the penny stays on the top and doesn't move, you'll know you didn't lose power, or if you did, it wasn't long enough to melt the ice. Great tip. Love that tip. There's a lot of them like that. That's on my Facebook page. All right, so let's go to Futurecast and take this one full. This is the one that you're going to see the model closer to our area. This is not a hurricane model. This is not designed to be tremendously accurate. And I will tell you for tropical systems, and I will tell you in the past with other storms, a lot of times it's been way off base. but it is our in-house model, and I do want to show it to you just to show the disparity from a Western track, which is more of the HAFS, which is a superior model in terms of hurricane prediction, to the RPM model or the graph, which is what this one is. So let's go and show you this full. And by the way, you guys can answer questions amongst yourselves. A lot of folks here who are loyal members to our chat really know a lot of these things that I'm saying because they've been here before, and they can help you out. A lot of people have described our chat as about 1,000 people in the backyard all talking over each other at one time, asking each other's questions. Well, tonight, there's not 1,000 people. There's 12,600 people. So we got a lot more folks out here tonight than typical. When Dorian was around, I did see the GFS, Brittany. Again, most of these models continue to trend west. So anyway, there's a look. This takes us to tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to go hour by hour. This is 3:30 tomorrow afternoon. We start to see some bands coming in. This is one model. How it impacts our area, probably valid. I think it's too far east. That's 6 o'clock tomorrow night. That's 7 o'clock. You're getting some bands, and you're going to see some squally weather, and it's going to start to go downhill pretty quickly tomorrow evening. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. You're already seeing the eye in the southwest part of the picture. 11 o'clock, midnight tomorrow night. Still an offshore, well, no, the water's coming in from the south, so that's tricky on who sees water pile up. But at high tide tomorrow night at 12 o'clock, that could be an issue. That's 1 a.m. You notice this is closer. This is closer. It's still far enough offshore that I don't think we see hurricane force winds, but this particular model is a closer track. But yet, and then you see the little motion at the end, it's more of a Levy County landfall. That is still the Big Bend, and that's probably as far east as you would likely even see this. So this is one model. It's not a hurricane model. It's not really designed for this, but I'm showing you this because I want you to see the bad weather for our area is 8 p.m., and look at when it's over. This is 7 a.m. Wednesday morning. This is 8 a.m. Wednesday morning. It's already moving inland. This is the track much closer to Gainesville, by the way. My daughter's at UF. So the Euro is probably 50 miles northwest of this spot. But because it is still so far away, it still cannot be ruled out that it isn't a possibility. So there you go. That's another model. Rainfall potential will be highest along the coast. These numbers are surprisingly kind of low. And that would not shock me. I think we see 3 to 5 inches common along the coast. But it's going to be a quick-moving system. The faster the movement, the less rain that can fall. The faster the movement, the less time it will have to get stronger. So if this stays on a more westerly track, it's going to be a stronger storm at impact, Taylor County, Big Bend up toward the Panhandle. If it arrives earlier, it will be weaker because it won't have as much time to ramp up closer to the Bay Area. So be very, very clear about this. Because we still have a system that is so far south that a little subtle movement back then now would be a bigger movement tomorrow night, we are not out of the woods. But I'd rather be in a situation where the Hurricane Center has moved the track west 2 times in a row and some of the better models continue to show a landfall. I'll go ahead and show you the HAFS again because this is one of the better models. This is a hurricane model. And if you go back in time, we start down here. I'm going to go ahead and play it. Again, from the Tropical Tidbit site. And you see it moving more north, ramping up, and then going right into the Panhandle. That's the HAFS A, the HAFS B. It's another, I've not even looked at this one. This is another form of it, kind of a different ensemble. And this one's a little easier to see. So check it out. Look at that. That is similar. And by the way, it does start to weaken not until landfall. So it's going to continue, and that's a pressure of 920 some odd millibars. That is a powerful hurricane, and that's what I was just saying. that, again, if this storm stays over water longer, it's going to be stronger into the panhandle. I mean, that's, you know, and look at it. This model never even gets really near us. And this is the 18Z. No, this is the 12Z, actually. Let's see if the 18Z has come out. Not yet. All right. So we do have the 18Z ensembles. And they are on here. I'll show you real quick. Again, it's just an amazing site. I would subscribe to him and follow this page. Levi Cohen is one of the brightest meteorologists, tropical meteorologists that I've ever known. Again, don't know him personally. Here is an early look at the 18Z, and it is still well to the northwest of the Bay Area. All right? And here's another look at it. Okay. So so someone's asking if it's going to be a Cat 4 by 11. I think that's what you're asking. It's not even a hurricane yet. So clearly not the case. So I kind of doubt that they're going to bump it up to a Cat 4 potential, but if it does go over all that warm water, yes, it could happen. Quickly, this is a look at storm surge. All right, these are the numbers that concern us. Hide from the wind, run from the water. Words to live by. If you are within a half a mile of the Gulf or the Bay, potentially you could see some water. But that potential is much higher in our northern counties, closer to where landfall will occur. If you flooded with Ada, Gulfport, Johns Pass, you could flood with Idalia. I am and it doesn't matter if this moves west because it's pushing a much larger area of water. So you are still going to have a significant storm surge, 2 of them. There is a look at the surge. Definitions. If you are not by a body of water that is salt-based, Tampa Bay, the Gulf, the tributaries that are brackish water, maybe some rivers that feed into the bay, you will not storm surge. Storm surge only occurs if you're near or on these bodies of water. Pasco County, west of US 19, I have seen surge impact you. 1995, Josephine, south of Hudson. I went on US 19 and had thigh-high water just off of US 19. West of Pasco, west of 19 in Pasco, west of alternate 19 in Pinellas. Those are the areas more likely to see water. The farther north you are, the better the likelihood. I think Crystal River could see some really, really serious flooding again, like you did with Ada and like you did with previous storms. It concerns me significantly. Water is the biggest issue. If you are in a mandatory evacuation zone, take it seriously. You know your area better than I do. You have to decide for yourself or trust EOC. Not to mention, one other thing, in terms of tornado risk, there will be tornado risks. You can never predict them. You don't know where they're going to be, but we will see tornado watches on the east side tomorrow and into early on Wednesday. Rainfall, flooding, not likely. We've been in a drought. We need the rain. That's going to be a good thing. So ultimately, your storm surge is an issue at the 2 tides, the 2 high tides. When are those tides? They're right here. If you live in these areas that are flood prone, those are your high tides on Tuesday night and again on Wednesday. So we will have a period of time where the water could be pushed out of the bay itself and water pushed in. It all depends on the angle in which this storm comes in. That's always the key. If a southerly wind is coming in, you're not going to get water in something that isn't southerly facing. So there are your winds. There are your tides, rather. Okay? So, it is all about the angles, Eric. You're exactly right. So here's the bottom line. The folks on our streaming app, you are done in 30 seconds. I will have another live stream, 9:30-ish on Facebook. Come and stop. I'm going to continue for a few minutes as well. I actually have a Zoom call to do in a few minutes with my future daughter-in-law. So priorities, I got to do that. But if you're watching on our streaming app, we'll be back again at 11. Follow us on our social media platform. The team is all over it. We will do our best to keep you safe through Idalia. You guys have a great night on the stream. Okay, so they're gone. I am still here with Facebook, with Twitter, which I will still call it Twitter/X, and with YouTube TV. Okay? So, what I'm going to do now, I am going to answer a few questions, okay? Now, I'm going to answer these questions based on the current track. Ooh, by the way, what are the new numbers? Let's look. We have the new advisory out, I'm sure. Hopefully it's still moving north. It is, and it's still a tropical storm. I'm assuming these are the new numbers. 21.7. I would assume that they have updated it by now. Let me look. Yep, those are the new numbers. So it is still moving due north at 8 miles an hour, still with winds of 70 miles an hour, and actually, the pressure really hasn't moved much either. So status quo. Once it clears that hostile environment and has to clear Cuba, that's when it's going to have an opportunity to really go to town, I expect. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a couple minutes before I go do my Zoom with my future daughter-in-law, and I will answer your questions. I have not seen any of these questions, and I'm not going to be able to scroll back and see them, so I'm going to start looking at them right now. I already gave the tides for Pasco. I will put them, okay, here's a ballpark. Midnight tomorrow night, noon tomorrow, midnight tomorrow night, noon on Wednesday. That's a ballpark idea of tides across the entire area. I will go back and show you that graphic, though, again. And there they are, right here. Right here. Okay? There are your tides. Look at them. These questions fly by so fast, I don't know if I can't even see them. They fly by so fast, they're just gone. All right, is Tarpon east of East Lake fine? Yes. Tropical storm warning for Tally, makes sense. Brooksville wind, 55 to 65. Based on the current track, will surge be north of the Courtney Campbell Bridge? Yes, there will be surge in all areas on the bay. Riverview, 45 to 55, gusts as high as 70. 2 mile, you know what? I don't think I can do this. By the way, thanks for the stars. All stars, the proceeds, again, go toward Children's Miracle Network. So appreciate all of those. Very kind of you. That's what that's our fundraiser. My kids do the dance marathon they did for FSU and UF, and they work directly with the Children's Miracle Network, and we just kind of started getting in with that way. Okay. So it's going to be like lightning round. I'm just going to answer a few as fast as I can go, okay? So from right this second on, if you live in an area with a mobile home, and you have to be really careful because winds greater than 70 at a mobile home do not go well. I suggest mobile homes, if you live west of I-75 and Pasco North, to consider a shelter, or at least go to a friend's house. Wind is not going to be a massive issue, but a mobile home is always a scary thing. Again, thanks for all the stars. I appreciate it. Again, the go to Children's Miracle Network. Okay. Pasco Trinity. Based on the current track, this could change by tonight or tomorrow. Pasco Trinity, 55, gusting up to 70. Okay. Dunellen, no worries. Citrus, surge of 6 to 9 feet. Crystal River, significant surge. Winds not much more, maybe 70. 65 to 70, gust to 85. Again, think Irma. This is going to be really similar to what we had conditions in Irma, except for inland, which will not get it, like they did with Irma. Okay, East Lake Woodlands, 50 to 55, gust to 70. Okay, Anybody on the coast is going to get water. The Gulf of Mexico will all see surge. You will all see surge on the Gulf. 4 to 7, Tampa Bay, Pinellas County, central southern Pasco. 6 to 9, higher than that. Even with a track away, you're still going to have a significant surge at high tide. At high tide. Okay? Diana boarded up. Good for you. You know, whether it's, that's a personal preference. If you feel safer, go for it. I don't think boarding up is going to be essential in a lot of places, but again, why not do it if you can? All right? St. Pete, been about the same. There will be surge, 45 to 55, gust to 70. Okay? Yeah, the water damage, Jamie, really depends on the size of your home, how much elevation you are on your home. Lake Wales, you are fine. I think you're okay, even in a mobile home in Lake Wales. I think you're okay, Teresa. Again, based on the current track. Got to remember that. All right? Tierra Verde, 45 to 50, gust to 65. Port Richey, same, 50, gust to 65. Thank you, Amy. Appreciate it. Very kind of you. Alt 19 near Curlew, 50, gust to 60, 65. Countryside, same thing, 50 to 60, 65. Thank you, Caitlin, Kristen. The Weather Service is going significantly higher along the coast. Significantly higher along the coast. If that track moves east, maybe it's going to be valid, but they went 115 along the coast gust in Pinellas, and that just seems high to me. But that is what the Weather Service was going for earlier today. I've not seen if they've changed it. If the track gets closer, certainly, especially if this is a Cat 3. But that seems a little bit high to me considering how small the hurricane force winds were forecast to be. Okay? Thank you, Eric. I appreciate it. See you at Christmas time. By the way, since there's a lot of new folks here, our neighborhood has an amazing Christmas light display in the month of December. It's Indian Trails in Palm Harbor. It's worth coming by and seeing. My daughter's already singing Christmas carols. We love Christmas in our family. So in December, hope you stop by the neighborhood. The lights are every night. We do a fundraiser on the second and third Saturday with hot chocolate and whatnot. Again, proceeds go to Children's Miracle Network. But hope you stop by and say hi. And it's better to park outside the neighborhood and walk it because you get a chance to look at all the great lights and come over and say hi and meet people. It's just such a fun time. Citrus Park winds 50. Orlando International Airport, 50 to 55. Spring Hill, 55, gust to 70. Canals will flood northeast of downtown, Brian, and St. Pete. There will be a surge in that area. Gainesville, 65 to 70. 3 miles from Tampa Port, okay? Yes, surge should not be a big issue for you, Patty. Town and Country, 50 to 55. Gust to 70. I heard Cantore was in Hernando County. I don't know why I heard that. That's always the rumor. Where's Jim Cantore going to be? But they always say, he's here, he's here, he's here. Crystal Beach, evacuate. How about your subdivision? Angela, I think our subdivision is going to be fine. We're a C. I think we're okay. But Crystal Beach, you got to get out of there. You could see a 4 or 5 foot surge. Crystal Beach and those homes right there, there's going to be some water. That is concerning. It really is. So a 2 foot high tide, add 4 to 7 for the surge. Now that 4 to 7 is actually including the tide. That does include the tide. Jock, it's a good question. Can you talk about building interference on winds as you move inland? I don't think it's going to have a major impact because I don't think the winds are going to be that strong on that. I just don't. Inland areas, the winds are not going to be a major issue. East of I-75, do you need to put up shutters? That is your choice. But if it were me and I lived east of I-75, I would not put up shutters, me personally. But you do what makes you feel safe. Okay, what time will it start? For Tampa, around 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Rain beforehand. Tropical storm force winds will probably get there around 8 o'clock in the evening. Lakewood Ranch, 35 to 45, gust to 55. Trinity, winds 50 to 55, gusts to 65. Based on the current track. Tomorrow night or tomorrow morning, I might do another one of these, and the track may have shifted some. We may have to bump it up. But based on the current track, that's where we are. Power outages are going to be common. We lose power in our afternoon thunderstorms. You're certainly going to lose power at in some areas with a tropical storm for 8 to 12 hours. Oldsmar, 50 to 55, gusts to 65 with some water in Oldsmar. Ocala, 55 to 60. You hear these numbers? These numbers are not 100, 110. If the track were to significantly change east because of what I was telling you earlier on, then we might have to bump these numbers up significantly. They're not going to, I think the overall storm would be weaker because it would arrive sooner, but you would have much, much higher numbers, more dangerous conditions. Bayshore, Bradenton, 40 to 50 along the coast. Bob, you say we're not completely out of the woods. If we do end up seeing a change in the track due to a subtle turn, what's the latest you think that'll happen? I think we'll know that by tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Because we will have already seen, again, that little change has to be soon. A little change soon is a bigger change later. If it's later, it's not going to change as much. So that change would have to be soon. And right now, as we showed you, we're still moving due north. If at 11 o'clock we see north-northeast, or maybe northeast instead of north, it gets a little dicier. Newport Richey, on the river. Maybe some water in that river, by the way. Some water in that river. And 55 with gusts to 70. Apollo Beach, 45, gusts to 60 with some water in Apollo Beach. Venice, you got nothing to worry about. Some surge. Still be some surge in Venice, but no worry about winds. Cantoria's in Gainesville, you're lying. He is not. Cantoria is not in Gainesville. I bet you're a Knoll fan. That's what, hey, let's mess with these Gators. Cantoria's in Gainesville. That's not true, but anyway, whatever. Beverly Hills, more of a surge issue in Beverly Hills, probably 65 to 75. You're farther north. Lakeland, 35 to 40, gusts to 50. Clearwater, Largo, 45 to 50, gusts to 60. You can't make a basic surge versus elevation because it really bases on the water, the shape of the water body around, truth be told. It's a good question, though. Spring Hill, 45 to 55, gusts to 60. Cedar Key, Jim. Cedar Key could be 100. Cedar Key could be 80 to 100 with a surge of about 9 to 11 feet. Cedar Key worries me. Crystal Beach, 50, gust of 60. Water, 4 to 5 foot surge. Okay. You're fine. Do not panic. Angela, Nicole and Angela, you're in a no evacuation zone, no flood zone. You're all good. It's okay. We've gone through these a lot. This is your christening as being a Floridian. And as long as this track stays offshore the way it is, you got nothing to worry about. If we wake up tomorrow morning and it shifted more to the east, then we got conversations to talk about. And I'll be honest with you then, too, by the way. But you are never going to hear me hype stuff. You're never going to see me post the worst case. Drives me flipping crazy. Saw it all over TikTok, all over Facebook. Somebody will take a screenshot of the worst case. And what's better than that is not only that, they're taking a screenshot of an 850 millibar, which is 4,000 feet up. The winds are going to be higher 4,000 feet up, but they're so obtuse, they don't know the difference, and they're taking a worst case screenshot of something that isn't even a surface wind. Do I get hot on this? Clearly I do. It fires me up. Take your trusted source. There's a lot of great sources out there, a lot of trusted people. Find your source, stick to your source, find someone you trust, and don't stray. Straying is bad because if you do, look what happens. Somebody can tell you you're going to see a Cat 6 hurricane, or show you an 850 millibar map that has winds of 160 miles an hour or something. Okay? It's all good. So Rachel says Cantori landed in Gainesville but headed to Cedar Key. Now, I buy that. I used to work in Gainesville. I worked at Channel 20 in Gainesville a lifetime ago, even after Elena hit in the mid-'80s, which destroyed the boardwalk and had a big impact on Tampa, too. So he's going to Cedar Key. Well, that's a good place to be. Well, not a good place to be, but a good place for Cantori to be. On Tampa Bay, 3 stories up, you got nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about. Okay, so I think that's about it. I am going to answer some more at about 9:30. I told you my future daughter-in-law has a Zoom for her work that I said I would be a part of. So that's where we are, folks. I appreciate you coming by. I'll come back for some more questions at about 9:30, a quick little update. But if you missed any of this, it will replay, and we did a complete overview of everything. But I'm thinking you guys have probably been here for the duration. So thanks for stopping by. I appreciate your loyalty. Stay safe. Rule number 7, don't freak out unless I'm freaking out. Do I look like I'm freaking out? I'm not. Let's keep our eye on the track. Let's make sure we don't get complacent. If there is a little subtle change overnight, we'll deal with it in the morning. There's still time to handle stuff. But right now, you got to like the way, at least in terms of the wind, in terms of the Bay Area. The water is the issue. Hide from the wind, run from the water. Be safe, and we'll be back shortly with another issue, another episode of Denis Phillips Live Monday Night Edition. Talk to you guys soon.
Our southern weather is unpredictable.
We know you've seen a thing or two.
Like heavy rainstorms.
Extreme heat and flying debris.
Your New South windows are custom built for your home and designed for extreme conditions.
That's why you need New South by your side.
Enjoy comfort.
Safety and security.
We install peace of mind with our lifetime guarantee. Superior windows, factory direct.
New South proud.
Buy more, save more. Volume discounts on 4 or more windows.